Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful spiritual stories ever told, the Confessions of St. Augustine. Now, I know what you might be thinking, a 4th century saint, but trust me, this is not some dusty old story. It's a raw, incredibly honest look at one man's search for meaning, a search that feels like it could be happening right now.
Because before he was St. Augustine, he was a brilliant, ambitious guy on the rise. He was chasing success, diving deep into philosophy, and yeah, living a life full of passion and pleasure. But underneath all of that success, he was just deeply restless. And that feeling, that constant nagging search for something more, that's exactly why his story still hits so hard today.
And this quote, it just nails the heart of his struggle. As a student, he could get all worked up and cry over fictional characters in books, but he was completely numb to the real drama happening inside his own soul. He was invested in everything except the one thing that actually mattered. This is the restless heart we're about to follow.
So let's start there. Section 1, a restless heart. From the outside, you would have thought Augustine had it all figured out. He was smart, his career was taking off, everybody admired him. But on the inside, there was this massive void that no amount of achievement could ever hope to fill.
I mean, this guy was at the absolute top of his game. His dad sacrificed a lot to get him into the best schools, and it paid off. He became a master of rhetoric, the art of public speaking, which was basically the golden ticket to power and influence in the Roman Empire. And yet, when he looks back, all he sees is a soul being wasted, chasing praise, and things that just faded away.
All right, Section 2, the search for more. Once he realized that worldly success felt totally hollow, Augustine kicked off this intense, years-long search for, well, for something that would finally quiet that restlessness inside him. And believe me, he tried everything.
You can actually see his search play out on a map. He goes from his small hometown to the big city of Carthage. Not enough. Then it's on to Rome, the very center of the universe. And finally, he lands this super prestigious job in Milan, right at the heart of the imperial court. With every single move, he's climbing the ladder, getting closer and closer to what he thinks is the source of all power, wealth, and knowledge.
So, what did he find at the top of that ladder? 3 massive dead ends. First, pleasure. He was in a serious relationship for 15 years, even had a son he adored. But even that profound human connection wasn't enough. Second, ambition. He got the fame he craved, but it just made him anxious. He even talks about being jealous of a drunk beggar on the street because the guy just seemed happy. And third, wisdom. He poured himself into this trendy philosophy called Manichaeism, which promised to explain the secrets of the universe.
And this is where his own intellect became his biggest enemy. On one side, you have the Manichaeans with their complex, secret knowledge. But when Augustine finally met their star teacher, Faustus, he was totally let down. The guy could talk a good game, but he couldn't answer any of Augustine's tough questions. On the other side, you had the Christian scriptures. But to a literary snob like Augustine, the Bible just seemed simple, crude even. His pride wouldn't let him take it seriously.
So, Section 3, torn between two wills. After striking out on all those external pursuits, the battleground moved inside. And this is where his Confessions becomes this incredibly deep psychological dive into what it feels like to be completely and utterly stuck. By now, he's in his early 30s, and that feeling of being stuck in the mud is just suffocating. He knows what he needs to do. He knows he should turn to God, but he just can't. He's a slave to his old habits, chained to the very things he knows are leaving him empty.
I mean, listen to how he describes it. It's like a civil war raging inside him. There's the new will that wants to do the right thing, that wants to change. But the old will, all that habit and desire, is just stronger. He's literally being torn apart from the inside out. Well, this internal war couldn't go on forever, and it all came to a breaking point in a quiet little garden in Milan in what's become one of the most famous conversion stories of all time.
He runs away from his friend, collapses under a fig tree, and just completely loses it. He's weeping, not just from sadness, but from pure frustration at his own weakness. He's screaming at himself, "How long? How long am I going to keep saying tomorrow? Why not now?"
And right there, at his absolute lowest point, something bizarre happens. He hears a voice. It sounds like a child from a house nearby, singing the same little phrase over and over. Tole, leye, take up and read. He'd never heard a kid's game like that before. In an instant, he stops crying. He takes it as a command from God. Open the book. So he scrambles back to his friend,
grabs the book of the Apostle Paul's letters and flips it open. His eyes fall on this one line from the letter to the Romans, and it speaks directly to the war inside him, that battle between the spirit and the flesh, the disordered desires that had held him captive for so long.
The change was immediate. It was like a switch flipped. As soon as he read that sentence, the war inside him just stopped. This light of peace flooded his heart, and all the doubt that had tortured him for a decade was just gone. He didn't have to read another word. He found his answer, not through his own brilliant mind, but in a moment of complete surrender.
Okay, so what in the world can we take from a 1,600-year-old story? Well, Augustine's journey from restlessness to rest is basically a timeless roadmap for anyone who's ever felt a little lost and is searching for something real. Let's break it down into 4 key lessons. First, acknowledge that restlessness, that nagging feeling that something's missing. That's not a flaw, it's a signal. It's your soul's compass trying to point you home. Second, be honest in your search. Augustine didn't settle. He questioned everything, even the philosophy he dedicated a decade to. We have to be willing to do the same. Third, embrace humility. Augustine's greatest asset, his big brain, was also his biggest hurdle. It was only when he hit rock bottom that he was open enough to receive the truth. And fourth, listen for the voice. The answer didn't come from some grand argument. It came in a child's song. Grace often shows up in the most unexpected ways, usually right when we finally stop trying to control everything.
And that's why we're still talking about him. His brutal honesty about his failures, his doubts, his desires, it makes him one of the most relatable spiritual figures in history. He reminds us that the journey of faith is rarely a straight line. It's messy, it's human, it's the story of a restless heart trying to find its way home.
You know, he ends his confessions not with some triumphant declaration of his own strength, but with this incredibly humble prayer. It's him admitting, I can't fix myself. My soul is a wreck. I need you to come in and repair it. So maybe the final thought is this. Where in our own lives do we need to stop trying so hard and just ask for a little repair?